We cut the calls because anybody's camera fell. We just switch angles. We just switch the focus. And I think that's the thing, like, I think we get thrown off. But like that.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to week 2. My name is Jazz.
And I'm Nikki.
And we are so glad that you decided to come back and hang out with us for another incredible message.
Yes, last week's message was all about purpose and how to revive your purpose in 2021. But this week we're going to talk about some of the distractions that may get in the way of your purpose and how we can combat that.
Yeah, definitely.
Last week we had a ton of people tuning in and we have some amazing testimonies to share with you guys.
Yes, so first from the East Coast, we had a lady tune in last week who said that she was looking for a job and the very next day she found out that she had landed the position.
That's amazing. Then we had a lady from the West Coast who said she kind of lost her faith in God in 2020. But after listening to Pastor Courtney's message, she said her faith was restored.
Wow, that is so incredible. And right here in Texas, a pastor of a church plant said that the message was exactly what he needed to get through the rest of his week.
Wow, me too. And then we had a couple reach out and say that 2020 almost took them out.
Wow.
But this year, they purchased their own first home last week.
Oh my gosh. Wow, that is amazing. God is doing some incredible things through this message. And if you're anything like me, you're probably wondering, how can you sow into what we're doing here at The Collective? Well, you can do that in 2 ways. The first way is through our Cash App, or you can text the number below.
Yes, and we want to know where you're tuning in from. So put in the comments below where you're tuning in from, because here at The Collective, we want to be with you and engage the culture and live out loud.
That's right. So we are actually going to get started with our message here in just a few minutes. But first, we want to go into a time of worship with Onaje Jefferson and the song Nothing Else.
I'm caught up in your presence. I just want to sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. I never want to leave. Oh, I'm not here for blessings. Jesus, you don't owe me anything. More than anything that you can do, I just want you. I'm sorry when I've just gone through the motions. I'm sorry when I just sang another song. Take me back to where we started. I opened up my heart to you. Ooh. And I'm sorry when I've come with my agenda. I'm sorry when I forgot that you're enough. Take me back to where we started. I opened up my heart to you. I'm caught up in your presence. I just want to sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy blessings. Jesus, you don't owe me anything more than anything that you can do. I just want you. I just want you and nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else will do. I just want you and nothing else.
Nothing else.
Nothing else. Nothing else will do. I just want you and nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else will do. I just want you. Nothing else, oh God. Nothing else. Nothing else will do. I just want you. Nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else. Oh, nothing else will do. I just want you and nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else will do. Nothing else will do. No one else will do. If it's not you, Jesus, it won't satisfy my heart. I was made for you and you alone. I'm coming back to the heart of worship. Coming back to the heart of worship. And it's you, Lord.
It's you, Lord.
It's you, Lord. It's you, Lord. Just want you. Caught up in your presence. I just wanna sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. I never wanna leave. Oh, I'm not here for blessings. Jesus, you don't owe me anything more than anything that you can do. I just want you.
Hey, listen, welcome back. Week 2 of this pop-up sermon series. Listen, this whole thing came out of me sitting around and I've been spending time with the Lord, and the Lord said, jump in and do this random pop-up series because you're going to encourage those dreamers. There are so many dreamers out there and you felt like, man, my dreams haven't been going anywhere. And this is the moment where God is almost like called to and hooked you up, and we're literally like pulling you out from where you are. Some of you are coming out kicking and screaming, but what's inside of you is going to come out of you because it's bigger than you. Why don't you write in the comments, it's bigger than me? Go ahead and say, it's bigger than me. Now, last week we talked about purpose. This week I want to do something else. I want to talk about this conversation of distracted purpose. Oh yeah, distractions. We all have them. It's like Friends. What's the song say? Friends, how many of us have them? Distractions, ones you can depend on. The problem is that you can depend on your distractions to distract you every moment, every second of the day. That's why God is building drive on the inside of you. So that way your distractions are no longer leading you, but you are then leaving your distractions right there. I want to talk about this concept for a quick second. Here's this thought. God makes a deposit on the inside of you. Before you were even thought of by your parents, God looked into the future and said, I need you, and I'm going to make a deposit. The moment God made a deposit and you took your first breath, the enemy decided he was going to look at that deposit and try to create a distraction. What does that distraction look like? God puts in a deposit, the enemy creates a distraction. God says, you're going to be this. The enemy says, let me get your attention over here. God has promised you that. The enemy wants to lead you this way. It is important that you realize that the deposit is greater than the distraction, but the distraction will try to stop your deposit. You think about this word, distraction. It has so many different definitions to it. I talked about it last week. You know the moment where you go to kind of do something, you're working on your homework, you're working on your actual work, you're trying to do something, you're trying to put a seed in the ground for your entrepreneurship, you're doing something to cultivate those dreams, and next thing you know, you end up on TikTok, you end up on Instagram, you're looking up recipes, you're on a deep YouTube binge. It just happened to me the other day. I was on a deep YouTube binge. This YouTube binge came out of nowhere, and I was looking up one thing for a message. The next thing you know, I am 1 hour deep into this YouTube binge. Why? Because distraction had set in. It wasn't intentional, but enough intentional distractions will become instinctive distractions. That's that moment where you're taking notes on your phone, and just instinctively, you go over to another page and see what's happening. Let me give you the definition of this right here. Distraction definition means a thing that prevents someone from giving full attention to something else. Another definition reads like this: extreme agitation of the mind or emotions. That's what a distraction is. Something that prevents you from giving your full attention, or something that kind of comes in and takes over all of your emotions. And if we're honest, many of us have been on both ends of that. We aren't able to give our full self, and then on the other end, our emotions are all over the place. In 2018, 400,000 people were injured by distracted drivers. Maybe that's you. Don't raise your hand, because some people, we're still kind of texting and driving. Some of y'all could actually watch like a whole movie and drive. I'm not saying it's safe, but I'm just saying it's honest. 400,000 people were injured by distracted drivers. 1 in every 5 person, they were injured by a distracted driver, and they weren't even on the road driving. They were just walking on by, and a car accidentally hit them. Boom, boom, boom. Distracted driver takes out innocent people. Maybe that's what it is. It's not that it's about distracted driving, that the enemy wants to distract your drive. If 400,000 people are injured by distracted drive, and the enemy wants to distract your drive, what does that mean? When you are a distracted driver, you end up in somebody else's lane. Maybe that's the problem with what's on the inside of you, those dreams, is that when you're not focused on your dreams, when you're not focused on your purpose, and when your distractions come in and are stealing away time from you, you end up in somebody else's lane. I need you to be in your lane, because what's on the inside of you is needed for 2021. You can't just be inside of somebody else's lane, because they're going to crash and you're going to crash. And that's how innocent people get hurt, because as opposed to being in your lane, you're in somebody else's lane. What does that look like? Do you know that most accidents happen when you're on transition to go someplace else? You're on your way to a place that you're intentional about going to, that you actually got to get to. How many of us, in the midst of transition, we've gone from dreaming to distracted? Oh, I'm just going to move apartments. At the old apartment, you had so much drive. Now with the new apartment, you're just distracted. Oh, I'm just going to switch jobs. At the other job, you were driven. At the new place, now you're distracted. It's in the middle of from point A to point B that you find yourself going from driven to distracted. The tension with dreamers being distracted is that we can still have progress. What does that progress look like? Progress means you're moving from point A to point B. I'm moving forward. But just because I have progress does not mean I've reached the promise. We get so excited about progress that we forget that the progress actually doesn't look like the promise. But just because we moved forward in something, we celebrate the forward, though we're not standing in the future. Many of us have gotten stuck by standing in a place and calling it the promise that is simply progress. You have to move beyond where you are. Type down in the chat, I refuse to be distracted. I'm not going to be distracted another day. Not another second am I going to be distracted. Not another minute am I going to be distracted. No more relationships are going to distract me. No more doors are going to distract me. No more people are going to distract me. I refuse to be distracted. Now, you probably have been trying to fix yourself. If I could just stop being distracted, you know what? I'm going to take my phone and I'm going to throw my phone away. Don't throw your phone away, because it's actually not you distracting you. The Bible says in John 10, that the thief, talking about the devil, talking about the enemy, he comes in to steal, kill, and destroy. You know what he wants to steal? Your future. You know what he wants to kill? Your drive. You know what he wants to destroy? Your purpose. It's not even you. There is somebody actively fighting against you, trying to make sure that what's been deposited gets distracted. John 10:10. Jesus came to give us life and life more abundantly. The thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Here's what I realize. When I get distracted, I create moments. I take a moment. I say, I'm about to do this. Let me take a moment and go over to TikTok. I love TikTok. So that's where I always get distracted. I'll use it a whole lot because I find myself going to do something totally meaningful in my notes. And the next thing you know, and a few challenges later and a few recipes later, I've been on TikTok for one smooth hour. Why? Because I'm distracted. And what happens is that I'm starting to create these moments of distraction, and enough moments turn into muscle memory, and I find myself over distracted, and I didn't even realize it. Why? Because enough moments created memories, and then I look up, and when I'm inside of those memories too long, I start making meetings with those memories. Hey, I'll meet you tonight. I'll meet you tomorrow morning. I'll meet you on my lunch break. I'll meet you when I'm supposed to be focused. I'll meet you when I'm supposed to be dreaming. I'm setting up a meeting with these memories out of these moments, and the next thing you know, I'm in a bed of misery. Because my dreams have been distracted, because I'm not focused like I need to be. And you got to lock in until you can see I'm not settling for progress. I'm going for the promise. It's possible to have a distracted purpose. My heart focused one way, my muscle memory sending me this way. Paul said, man, the things that I want to do, I don't do. The things I don't want to do, I do. Why? Because my heart is this way, but my muscle memory is taking me this way. There are three things I realize that the enemy wants to do to us. To you, the creative, you, the influencer, you, the dreamer, you, the mom, you, the dad, you, the student, that he wants to do. You're the career person. You're close to retirement. Maybe you're just starting your career. There are three things he wants to do. He wants to overwhelm your struggles, overuse your strengths, or overthrow your strategy. Let's dig in. How does he overwhelm your struggles? Check it out. First Peter. Peter's a dude who was hanging with God. He's probably the most thug dude that Jesus had. He's hanging out with Jesus. You know what happens. They come to get Jesus. Yo, Jesus, we finna take you away. Peter pulls out the thing, wop, cuts the ear off. Jesus puts it back. Peter's like, all right, my bad, I'm sorry. So Peter is that dude. First Peter says this. It says, 1 Peter 5:8 in the Passion Translation. This is what it says. Be well balanced and always alert, because your enemy, the devil, roams around like a roaring lion looking for its prey to devour. Think about that for a second. He says, be well balanced. I'm not saying that the things that you're distracted by are bad, but when they're not well balanced, they can put you in a place that leaves you in progress, but not the promise. I'm not saying that hanging out with that person is bad, But when it's not balanced, it's distracting. I'm not saying that that job is bad, but when it's not balanced, it's distracting. I'm not saying that about to get this money is bad. I'm just telling you that when it's out of balance, it leads to distraction. And for many of us, it's not that what you're doing is wrong. You're just overusing and overdoing what you're doing. And it's what? Off balance. Peter, he says this, be well balanced and always alert. I mean, alert. One of the things that the enemy would love to do is he'd love to stop you. All those weird little dreams you wrote inside of your journal, all those conversations that you had with people, and you decided that you were going to do something that was going to shape the world, shape your city, change your state, change your church, change your school, change your family, all of those things. If he can stop that, one of the things he'll do is he'll try to make you not alert. Here's what you got to be alert to, is that there is an enemy that wants to distract you. You find yourself overly distracted? You need to say, in the name of Jesus, get behind me, fam. Get behind me. It's not you. It's not you that you can't seem to hone in. Maybe it's just that distraction is an attack by the enemy. Let me keep going. What did I say? Point number one, overwhelm your struggles. For many of us out there, you're like, hey, that's me. Whatever my struggle is, he just keeps trying to wrestle it down and overwhelm it. And it says that the enemy is like a roaring lion looking for its prey to devour. Here's what I realized. It's not that the enemy is vicious, it's that he has volume. He's loud. He's loud. He makes me think the walls are caving in. He makes me think that everyone's against me. He makes me think that I'm lazy. He makes me think that I have nothing to give. He makes me think that all of these things are happening, and it's not that he's vicious, it's that he has volume. You gotta learn that when you're balanced and you're focusing on what God says about you, he has a way of taking the volume of the enemy and turning it down. Turning it down. You ever seen that person that when they back up, they got to turn the volume down in the car? Why? Because if you're ever going to look to your past, make sure that the volume on the enemy is down so he can't tell you about it. You can only see it through what God sees it through. What does it say? Enough permitted distractions will become permanent distractions. You have to say to yourself, I'm no longer distracted. Write down in the comments, I'm no longer distracted. I know you may feel distracted. You may have been distracted just before you. As a matter of fact, you may have gone and looked at some other stuff while you're watching this. You may have 8 different tabs open. You may say, I'm distracted right now, but you're present. You're actually present. You're not distracted. You're actually present. Write down in the comments, I'm no longer distracted. Go for it. Point number 2. Nope, let me stay here for a second because I want to go back. I want to go back real quick. That was verse 8. Let me go to verse 7. Let me go back before that. He says, now that I've talked to you about that, be balanced and all that stuff, right before that, this is what he said. Pour out all your worries and stress upon him and leave them there, for he always is tender and cares for you. He's saying before you even start dealing with your balance, you need to bring me your stress. Bring me your stress. God is saying, take your stress and say, God, it's like a hat. I got to lay it down. My stress, can I give it to you? My cares, can I give it to you? My worries, can I give it to you? My needs, and what you don't realize, one of the reasons why the enemy wants to distract you is because what's inside of you is already prepared to take care of your needs. So if you never release what's on the inside of you, then you always have to worry about what is going to come from, and it's already on the inside of you. Pour out your worries. Number 2, he wants you to overuse your strength. So there's this moment, right? Jesus in Luke 4, he just gets baptized in the middle of being baptized. Right after he's baptized, the heavens open up. God says, this is my son whom I'm well pleased. It's like a dope moment. If it's today, it's all on Instagram, it's all on Facebook, it's everywhere, all right? And so Jesus, they say he goes into the wilderness, and in the wilderness, Jesus has these strengths. See, he can do miracles. And the enemy comes in and says, oh, you can do miracles? Then why don't you've been fasting, why don't you turn this stone into bread? And Jesus tells him, I will not. Like life does not come only from eating bread, but from God. Life flows from every bit of revelation from the mouth of God. In other words, yes, I can do that, but I'm not going to do that. Let me tell you this. In this moment of you walking away from the life of distraction, you cannot afford to overuse your strength. That means that for some of you, no is going to become your best friend. Hey, can you? Nope. Hey, but you do it so easy. No, I can't. But why don't you just, no, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm not telling you to be a jerk about it. I'm not telling you to be like, no, you can. I'm just telling, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that. The enemy goes on. He says, I tell you what, Jesus, why don't you just, this isn't going to hurt you. This isn't your wheelhouse. This is your strength. Why don't you just bow down? Just give me a little bit of, just a little bit of bow. Okay, if you don't, just give me a little bit. Just whatever your bow, just give me a quick bow. And Jesus is like, I'm not bowing to you. That's reserved for God. Then the next thing he tells Jesus, he says, I tell you what, why don't you just throw yourself down? God said he'll give his angels charge over you. All of these things. Now, Jesus can tell these angels what to do. It's all in the strengths of who he is. But he doesn't overuse his strength. Why? Because he says, though I have the right to do it, I don't have the authority to do it. And for many of you out there, you've been distracted because you've been doing things that you have the right to do, but you don't have the authority to do. Are you supposed to work on that project, or is it taking time away from what you're called to do? He wants to overuse your strength. I know you love people. I know you love going out and doing things for people. But here's my question. Are you doing too much? Are you doing too much? Well, you may say, well, you can never do too much. What do you mean doing too much? Can you ever really do too much? Yes, there is the moment where you can overextend yourself. Why? Because if Jesus had overextended himself right here, the whole thing would have been off. And the enemy could have said, y'all remember that one time he bent down and he bowed down to me? You cannot afford to overextend yourself. When you overuse your strength, it's possible to become obsessive about your assignment. Maybe that's why you haven't finished that book. Maybe that's why you haven't finished that project yet. Maybe that's why you haven't finished the thing that he's called you to finish. Because in the midst of overusing your strengths, you're becoming obsessive about your assignment. Artists, creatives, we can't even get new material from you, because you're obsessing about your assignment. I know that's the thing that made you great, is attention to detail. But when you stay there too long, attention to detail can just simply become a delay. Why are you so delayed? This is your moment. This is your season. What's the third thing? He wants to overthrow your what? Strategy. Say it with me. You cannot have my strategy. You didn't even have to write in the chat. Just say it. Say, you can't have my strategy. Listen, there's a guy in the Bible. His name is Nehemiah, right? Old Testament. Nehemiah decided, that's it, you guys aren't going to keep attacking my city, can't keep attacking my village. We're going to rebuild the wall. I'll tell you what, everybody started rebuilding the wall in back of their own home. And when you look up, we're actually going to build something. Pause, let me tell you this. I know that you see a huge promise, but right now, the first step that you have is to work on what's right inside of your home. Work on what's inside of your backyard. What can you easily get to that you can start working on that moves you from progress to promise? Nehemiah said, we're going to start building this wall. Nehemiah gets almost done with this wall, right? And the next thing you know, his enemies start finding out about this wall he's building. And they start sending him messages saying, hey, Nehemiah, why don't you come and hang out with us? You're basically done with the wall. You should come and hang. I know you're finished with the wall, Nehemiah. You're not going to send us no pictures of a Nehemiah? No, I cannot send you pictures of my strategy because I don't trust you with my strategy. I can't send you my demo to my song because I don't trust you with the demo to my song. I cannot give you my idea because I don't trust you with my idea. Nehemiah told them, this is what he said. He said, I knew they were scheming to hurt me. This is verse 2 and 3 in chapter 6. I knew they were scheming to hurt me, so I sent messengers back with this. I'm doing a great work. The deposit that God has put on the inside of you is a great work. My good friend, Courtney Wilson, he's one of my brothers. He has that song, God is doing a great work. What does that mean? That what you're putting your hand to, I said last week that you're the brilliance of God. I want to tell you this week that what you're working on is a great work. You thought it was a lazy work. This thing is actually a great work. And then what does he say? He tells them, I can't come down. Why should the work come to a standstill just so I can come down and see you? Why should I stop just to come and see you? Why should I halt this project? Why should I stop my writing? Why should I stop my sewing? Why should I stop my data entry stuff? Why should I stop my building? Why should I stop my cooking? Why should I stop working on this film? Why should I stop working on this TV show? Why should I stop writing this script? Also, I can see you. I am doing a great work. If you're working on a great work, start hearting in the comments so that way you can tell yourself it's a great work that I'm working on. This isn't a slouch. This isn't a lazy work. I'm not just mailing something in. What I saw in my mind is greater than me. What I see in my heart is greater than me. Put it in the comments. This is a great work I'm working on. Come on, I'm working on raising my kids. My kids are going to be great. They're a great work. Come on, harder than you think. It's a great work right there. Nehemiah tells him in verse 1, this is what he says. I think it's so dope. He says, hey, the wall is finished and has no breaks, but it doesn't have any doors on it yet. When the enemy wants to overthrow your strategy, he will try to get you to start leaving from the walls that you built and celebrate the fact that the wall has no breaks, even though you don't have doors. What does that mean? That some of us, as artists, as creatives, as influencers, your walls have no breaks, but it has no door. What does that mean? You're finished, but it's not complete. There's a difference between being finished and complete. My wife was a teacher. A kid can walk up to her with his assignment and say, I'm finished. And she'll look at it and say, this work isn't complete. And he can say, but I'm finished. You aren't going to get the grade that you're supposed to get based upon the strategy at hand, because many of us have been finished, but we're not complete. I know you are excited about that song, but go back and revisit it. Why are you going to help them? That thing's not even mastered yet. Go back and master the song. Yes, it's finished. Yes, you've done a demo, but it's not complete. You are going with that script. That script is finished, but it's not complete. That message is finished, but it's not complete. Something can be finished, which means come to an end, but complete means it's all the way fulfilled. The enemy wants you to turn in half work done. He wants you to get married to the lesser excellent version of it. He wants you to get married to just mailing it in. See, that's what happens when you get exhausted. When you get exhausted, you just say, fine, it is what it is. And the version of it that you end up submitting doesn't look like the version of it that's in your mind. Why? Because you married to progress and not to promise. Why? Because you got finished on the fact that I'm finished. Focus on the fact that I'm finished. And you never go into it being complete. Here's what you have to do. I want to wrap it up with this. I want to encourage you with this. Maybe one of these, 2 of these, or 3 of these spoke to you. I want to give you some practical steps of things that you can do to make sure that you overcome this week. All I want to do is just highlight. I just want to highlight and talk to this moment right here. I want to highlight and talk about the fact that in this moment right here, you are finished, but you gotta be complete. I'm actually going to do what I've never done. Watch, I want to pick this up just so I can talk to you. Watch this. Number 1, you got to realize that you're distracted. What does it look like when you realize you're distracted? It's just simply this. Some of you are watching this, you've been tugging on your heart and you say, man, I'll admit it. I've been distracted. 2020 was tough. I did basically nothing. I know what it is to have those anxiety moments. I feel like I've been distracted. Realize you're distracted. Number 2, Set up a time to dream and set up a time for your deposits. What does it mean? It's time for you to dream again. And it's time for you to understand that there's a huge deposit that God has with your name on it. Number 3, it's time for you to deliver. What does that mean? Some of you, it's time to file for your LLC. Some of you, it's time to finish your DBA. For some of you, it's time to enroll in that college course. It's time to go to YouTube University. It's time to set aside 4 hours a week to make sure that you focus on that business that God put on the inside of you. For some of you, it's time for you to go to film school. Oh yeah, for some of you, it's time for you to get into the military. You've been waiting. What's the guy say? You've been waiting, been sitting on the couch. There ain't nothing else for you to do. It's time, it's time, it's time. For some of you, those recipes that you just been coming up with, it's time to start writing those things down. Set up your iPhone and start recording yourself cooking. For some of you, it's time for you to make sure that everything that you saw inside of your promise does not get lost with the thought of progress. I came to let you know tonight, or whenever you're watching this, distractions happen, but distraction doesn't have to turn into destruction. You can dream again. Tonight, bury those distractions. I'm not going to get on whatever after this time. Between this time and this time, I'm going to focus on my dreams of whatever you're working on. It sounds simple, but I can't tell you enough how many times simple things become hard. You got to fight through the muscle memory. Jesus died on the cross for your freedom. He didn't die so that way you can be held and bound by distraction. John 10:10. Jesus came to give us life and life more abundantly. The thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Yo, right here. You said, man, Pastor Courtney, I'm that guy. I've actually been distracted. I'm that lady, I've been distracted. And let me pause for this. You think that the promise is about your age. It's not about your age. It's about surrender. At 60, 70, 80, promise can still come out. You say that to me, Pastor, I've been distracted. I realize it. At the bottom of this, in Nehemiah 6 and 8, it says that rumors started, and Nehemiah dealt with the rumors. That's what he said. There's nothing to what you're saying. You've made it all up. They're trying to intimidate me into quitting. They thought Nehemiah will give up. Nehemiah will never finish. And Nehemiah said, and I prayed, give me strength. Maybe your prayer is give me strength. I want to tell you where the biggest rumors are going to come from. You ready? The biggest rumors come from you. It's not what anyone has spread about you. It's what you've believed about you. And Nehemiah said, give me strength. If that's you and you've been distracted, I want to ask you to do something that feels odd. I want you just to, right where you are, lift up your hands. You may be in a coffee house. It may seem weird. I don't want you don't have to go full in the coffee house. Just lift them up. It just simply means I agree with this. Father, I pray over every person that's been distracted. I pray over every person that's had a little bit of distraction. Father, I pray that strength will come alive inside of them right now. I pray, Lord Jesus, that in the midst of where they are, that they would land on promise and not settle for progress. By the power of your Spirit, distractions end tonight. We'll set aside the time. We'll go back to those dreams. Those distractions will not become our destruction. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Wow, what another incredible message from Pastor Courtney. My favorite part is when he said, overwhelm your struggles, overuse your strengths, and overthrow your strategy.
That makes me think about one of my favorite boxers, Mike Tyson, who said everybody has a game plan until they get punched in the mouth. And at that point, your strategy kind of just goes out the window.
This is true. We want to know what your favorite part of the message is, so put it in the comments below.
Also, if you feel like partnering with the collective and what our mission is, there's a couple ways we can use your help. 1, your time. 2, your talents. And 3, finances. If you feel like giving to the collective and you feel like giving your time and your talents, please comment, slide in our DMs, let us know how you want to help and how you want to serve. Also, you can text and give with the number below or sew into our Cash App.
And we can't wait to see you back here next Monday night for our next sermon. See you there.